defending, I think, it's like.
People, Deluded, I'm back again. One love for tuning back in. And if you're new here, make sure you're hitting the subscribe button. Make sure you're commenting on any of the topics we cover. Don't forget to hit the like button. That's the most important. One love for my long-term supporters. Now, tomorrow, Arsenal versus Wolves, and in fact, every team's playing. It's the last day of the Premier League season. What has been a long 38-game weeks with plenty of talking points. A week is a long time in football. A couple of days, especially when your team's losing, especially when you've been in this bit of run that Arsenal is in. So if you could imagine 38 plus the cups, when it's all said and done, all that matters is where you started in August and where you ended in May, innit? So I don't know where you're at with that, but we're now gearing up towards transfer season where everyone's going to get linked with everyone. Every journalist is in the know. The dream is free, the hustle is sold separately. But allegedly, Edu Arteta have spoken. There's a couple of other bits and pieces. We've had bids rejected and things like that. Let's see exactly what is being said, people. In relation to Edu Gaspar, the technical director / sporting director of Arsenal, on Arsenal's plans, he said, we're planning a good transfer window. To be fair, he's not going to say anything different, is he? He can't say, no, we're going to have a bad one. Why would anybody say that? Apparently, he had an interview with the Brazilian media. He was interviewed by ESPN journalist João Castelo Branco, forgive me for any mispronunciation, and talked about several things in relation to the transfer market, the frustration of that. There's many things to be positive about Arsenal and foundations in place, but ultimately, you know, we all know how the season ended. He said it's identifying very well where we can improve if they are individuals, isolated positions, if they're units, if they are final third, as we call it here, if they are midfield, defensive part. This diagnosis we already have because we already have a very clear style of play by Arteta, he told ESPN Brazil. Today, you see Arsenal playing and identify with it. You know that it's Arsenal style. So it's time to understand where we boost the units so that the team can improve and go to another level of performance. I think there's another level. We have one more level. We have several levels. Until I see we've won a Premier Champs, you know, and we can go into seasons in many ways we finished second. But it was a surprise of what Arsenal's done. I want that to be the minimum. I want to expect us to be minimum second, and if not better than that, and obviously bring home trophies. So I disagree with that, and I don't think that should be taken literally from Edu. There's several levels, but you know we have to. He just mentioned units, right? You know, if we break down the 11 into sub teams, as I always say, the defensive third, including the goalie, the midfield, and the the striker. I think we need a more physical striker. I think that's more important than bringing in a winger, if I'm honest with you, because Jesus could play out wide. Don't get it twisted. I know Nelson's apparently getting close to signing a new deal. If you can bring in a winger or a striker, either one of the two, I'm happy. The key area for me is midfield. We need to replace Granit Xhaka in the 8. We need a 6. Even if Partey and Xhaka stayed, Xhaka was staying, probably could do with 2 midfielders. You know, as much as I love Saliba and Zinchenko, when Zinchenko isn't there, obviously we make it harder to score goals. And that, as much as I like Zinchenko and what he's brought, a team that wants to win a league title, we can't sit here and say there's no left back. Our first choice left back isn't there and we're struggling. By the same token, I love the fact that Arteta is stubborn to his principles, but you do need to be able to tweak a system. You know, if players have to play the same way, great. But someone like Tierney, you're never going to get the full Tierney in an inverted role. Could you at times be a bit cute and clever and just play him as an organic left back? You know, we haven't got Trent Alexander-Arnold, but just imagine we had him because he plays that inverted stuff. If we had that on the right-hand side, then Tierney might be laughing. Saliba, great player, 21 years of age. If I look at it harshly, a 21-year-old who hasn't been here past this season, if everything is crumbling defensively because he's not there, that is unacceptable. And I think that more testament to Saliba, but it highlights the frailties. Well, as I said, we've got a good foundation, but it needs to be stronger, really. So, you know, I don't think personally until we address midfield, you're never going to see the full potential we could do in an attacking sense or a defensive sense. Although I feel Saliba's injury highlighted how frail defensively we are, there has been fantastic improvements. In terms of goals, we've got 2 players on 15 league goals in Odegaard and Martinelli. Obviously, you want to see Jesus do a bit more than that, but he's got about 9-10 or something like that. Saka is going from strength to strength. Granit Xhaka chipped in. If I look at it harshly, I don't know that there's no one at Arsenal, as dumb as it sounds, that I can say is going to be a confirmed goal scorer. You know, Spurs have been terrible. Harry Kane is still going to get you 20 league plus. And, you know, it's unfortunate that Haaland's there for a minute. Whatever Liverpool have said individually, people said Salah's had a slow season and things like that. You can't always look at numbers, but look at the numbers. Now, obviously, they're two other ends of their careers. They're two established players. But looking at Arsenal being in the Champions League, aspiring to, to do what we did this season, next season, and better. There's no one I look at in this Arsenal team and think, yeah, you're going to get the goals. And I'm not trying to belittle anyone. I love the fact that Martinelli can do this, but this is his first standout season with goals. He's where he's arrived, a bit like Smith Rowe last year. Saka is the only one I could probably say it because he's done it in the last 2 years. Odegaard, love that you've added goals to your game. Think you can continue to do that, but I don't 100% know. Big fan of Gabriel Jesus. Think he has the capacity to get 20 league goals, but throughout his career, as much as he's been a valued squad member, there's got to be a reason when you speak about Jesus or you listened to previously Pep. You speak about the Brazilian flair, the passion, wanting to die on the pitch, pressing forward. He's labelled a defensive forward. We need goals, really. So I don't know, regardless of his injury, even though I'm happy with his signing, I don't know if he's going to be able to get that. I'm just looking at Arsenal and I think we can, but it's not 100%. So there's many things we could do, people, really and truly. With me and Arteta talking, we believe that we have a level to improve in terms of performance. Clearly, psychologically, we can make several improvements as well. And now make a good transfer window, understand the need to get the right athlete, the characteristics, the mentality of the athlete that we want to once again raise the level of our squad. In the last 2 windows, in fact, the last 3, I would say, the summer, Benjamin White and Ramsdale came in. Last season with Zinchenko and Jesus. January with Jorginho and Trossard. I think we've done all right in the transfer window. Don't get it twisted. We still find ourselves, desperately trying to get Mudryk. Mudryk put a spanner in the works. Desperately on deadline day trying to get Douglas Luiz in the summer. Brighton made it clear that you're not getting Caicedo in January. Obviously, we was left with egg on our face. So there is many things we could do. If we could get these players in early, it'd be lovely, really and truly. Be absolutely lovely. Apparently, we spent 192.3 million euros on signings in the current season to go with January and the summer. Obviously, Zinchenko, Jesus, Vieira, Kiwior, Trossard, and Jorginho. If we're honest with ourselves and the harshness, if the Champions League started tomorrow, we're not ready. I like what we could do in it and give a good account of ourselves, but we're not ready. We don't have the players. So get them in. Simple as that. Edu's also said, people, as well, kind of carrying on with things in relation to his interview. I think it needs a lot more elaborate analysis. My role makes me need to understand the season as a whole. Amen. Mine too. Perhaps in these last 5 games, we had a drop in performance, which was sustaining us to fight for the title, and be fighting for the title was really the consistency of performance. From the moment we had this drop in performance, we have to understand why. This is already understood by us. And to be fair, the last 2 years, hopefully it's a good omen, because last season, we crumbled where the top 4 is concerned after a disastrous start. We got our act together, but we crumbled in the last leg of it. This season, we've had a great start. Near enough, it's been a perfect season. There's been bits and pieces, drop points, etc. But we've dropped points in May at a crucial period, really and truly. So we need to learn from this, because I think as much as it's about new signings and injuries and maybe the manager could have done better, it comes down to mentality. And I do think the mentality is improved. But if we're looking at it in terms of winning titles and being champions, improving, being good is not enough. You need to be great, definitely where you're fighting the City team. And no matter where we look at it, credit to City, no matter how good they are and where we are, we're clearly miles off them. It was in our hands. We could have controlled the variables. We could have had the Premier League title, but ultimately we failed. Really, it evidently failed in the last somewhat leg of the season, but it's the games against Brentford where, yes, VAR should have done its job, but we're dropping points from winning positions. There's several games, really and truly. Southampton away as well. So yeah, man, we're a very long way away from where we want to go, but in life, you just have to keep going better. He said, saying Arsenal bottled is a word I wouldn't use. We created our own frustration. Nobody expected us to fight for the title. You being frustrated about not winning the title is a change of mind. True. It could even be considered, let's say, positive, considered times ago. In the past, we celebrated 4th place, the 3rd. Today, we are frustrated with 2nd. And that's true. But ultimately, and I think you're not wrong, really, in that there's many things to be proud of, but we did bottle it. Arsenal fans, as much as I love us, you can't say Liverpool bottled a quadruple, Spurs are the bottling, and when it's your time, not hold that. We have to hold it. We bottled it. We defeated ourselves. We had it in our hands and we fumbled it. There's nothing wrong with being honest. But I hear it, man. And he is right. We're upset with 2nd. But if you offered us 3rd, whatever, just top 4 in some capacity in August, we would have taken it, which is why I'm saying you can't just look at the positives and bury yourself in la la land. And because we wasn't expected to do things, kind of concede that. You can't just be somewhat negative and just look at the fact that we didn't bring home the title. The truth is in the middle from both sides. But football's an emotional sport, people. Anyways, moving on. It makes me think about some things. The path we are tracing at the club is being positive. We cannot forget we're in the Premier League, coming from a team that had not entered the Champions League for 7 years, fighting with clubs. We're fighting potential clubs from historic gaming powerhouses and financial powerhouses too, and now putting Arsenal where they need to be. I'm all for that, my guy, but we're gonna have to navigate it a lot. We don't know what next season is gonna have to do, so we can't rest on our laurels. We can't get complacent and assume because we've exceeded expectations that we're on a level we're not. We need to have the same mentality and tenacity that we had at the start of last August, really and truly, because Liverpool, I think one advantage is that they're in the Europa League where you don't really need to take it seriously in the group stages. Arsenal, Newcastle and Manchester United are now in the Champions League. So how are they going to navigate that? What are Chelsea are going to be saying next year with no Europe, which we've been down that path before as Arsenal fans? That could be a very good benefit, especially when you look at Chelsea and they need to reset everything. Spurs are Spurs. I don't know for them. They need to get a manager. They're getting rejected by the Celtic gaffer and that long may it continue. So I won't quite cut them the same luxury. And you never know, with the Premier League getting more competitive, Newcastle was a surprise, Arsenal was a surprise. Who knows? Brighton, Brentford, these kind of teams might surprise people. Arteta on our transfer strategy in the market. We've to seek excellence in everything that we touch and participate in. So that's going to have a big impact at the club. We have a really promising plan. I hear that. Let's get some signing in though. And apparently he says he has a really promising plan to take Arsenal to the next level, but will require determination and hunger from the club to pull it off. Amen. Because Arteta can only take part in identifying targets, indirectly speaking with targets. But when it comes to negotiations with the club, dotting I's, crossing T's, this is where Edu earns his money. And I wouldn't say, I mean, I'm happy with Edu, but, I think it's a very difficult one to look at with Edu because if the players play good or bad on a football pitch, we can see that. If the manager does good or bad tactics, we can see that. You can't always see what Edu is or isn't doing. And as you know, there's a lot of transfers that happen or didn't happen that you don't know about. There's a lot of moving parts, but Edu picked this role. If we're seeking excellence, you have to ask yourself questions. I'm not expecting you to do everything. You can't do everything. Every club can't do everything. But in terms of significant outgoings, proper incomings, obviously you've started well with the new contracts. Get over the line with Saliba. And we're laughing really and truly. So, yeah, we all know Declan Rice allegedly is the priority target. West Ham are demanding 100 million. We had bids rejected for Caicedo in January, and we're looking at him, people. Arteta has privately suggested the Ecuadorian could have made a crucial difference to his team in the running. Well, the whole team has fallen off, but where you look at Partey, Jorginho, even I'm being a bit harsh, he would have been lovely. Even to, Benjamin White, he could do a job at right back as well. We have to seek excellence in everything that we touch and participate in. So that's going to have a big impact at the club. In order to do that, we have a really promising plan. We may have to reflect a little bit, take a step back, make sure this is the right one and go again with more determination and hunger in our tummies to do even better. Fair enough, Gaffer. On Saliba, allegedly, people, Football.London has said that there's confidence around getting him to sign. Arteta said, we are having conversations. We are trying to maintain the talent we have at the club. As I said before, but things take time. You have to agree to it. There are different parties involved. I think everybody's intention is the same, and hopefully we'll find the right solution. And, where the Benjamin Whites and Odegaards are concerned, we hear that we're trying to get them to follow Gabriel Martinelli, Saka, Ramsdale, and committing their futures. Reece Nelson seems to be the next one that will be announced, really and truly. Allegedly, people, Fabrizio was told Give Me Sport that the Gunners' next priority is obviously to extend Saliba's contract after Aaron Ramsdale and Bukayo Saka. Dharma Chef of Sky Sports has said Saliba is the big priority for them. I was looking at his contract situation and it expires in 2024. So he's got a year left, but there is a year option. So maybe that gives us a bit of wiggle room if it really is until 2025. So Arsenal have got a bit of breathing space. I think there's a degree of confidence around the club. They can tie Saliba down. Why wouldn't you want to stay? This is, for me anyways, as a fan, where the first team is concerned, this is the most clarity you've had over Saliba's contract. I mean, situation on the playing front. You're playing, we're doing our thing individually and collectively. You're doing your thing for France. Commit. You all know he's on 40 bags a week. That's going to double, maybe even just over double, really. Saka's on big money. Nelson's apparently getting a, double your money sort of thing. Naturally, Saliba being 21, freshly turned 22. Hopefully, Arsenal can tie you to a 4 or 5 year deal. It makes sense to give him the contract, really, because again, how much would it cost to buy Saliba, Saka, Martinelli if they were elsewhere? And you got to remember, he's 22. If I'm him, I'm trying to commit to a 4 year deal. Ideally 3. He should be saying 3. The club should be saying 5. So 4 plus an option of a fifth is another one. Because if you get a 3-year deal, every 18 months, you're going to, like, kind of like with Saka, who hasn't signed a 3-year deal. Every 18 months or so, there's talk of a new deal for Saka, really. So if you keep developing, you're in a good position there. So tie him down. And obviously that would tie him down to the good part of his 20s, really. So, yeah. And I don't want to be a selling club, but you have to be really honest with yourselves. You know, if you can tie down the Sakas, Salibas, Martinellis of this world, if situations change or they ever want to leave, then we can get top money for these players, really. In a day and age where football ability and stuff isn't necessarily correlated to the transfer price. What Saka, Saliba, and Martinelli have is this buzzword, people. What is that buzzword, you may ask? Smash the like button, offer your opinions. Potential. Arteta got his job for potential. Mudryk, 70 million for potential. Kylian Mbappe did great at Monaco, but they spent 200 odd million in PSG for potential. Saliba is a good player, one of the best centre-backs in world football at the moment. Obviously not top 5, but he is one of them. One day he might be top 5, maybe even the best. The same with Saka in his position and Martinelli, etc. That should come with a hefty price tag. There might come a Coutinho situation where sell you for stupid money, and maybe not just these players, the Eddies of this world and Nelsons, who are not going to go that high, but can make profit and then reinvest. So hopefully there's a degree of confidence, but it needs to be signed on the dotted line, people. Xhaka has been paid tribute to by his current manager and soon to be former manager. For me, crucial, really, really important on every level for the team and for the club as well. In great moments like the season he has had, and in difficult ones, we have become a better club and better people, and we've understood certain situations much better than just judging them. The club and a lot of people have done really well to dig in there and understand what happened emotionally and why those reactions were happening, and having the courage to say, okay, let's turn around the situation and face it. There are going to be moments of doubt, but if you believe in what you're doing and you go face to face and say what you feel, normally things work out pretty well. Facts. And that's obviously alluding to, you know, the Crystal Palace, the fatal game. Ironically, I was there. He also said the teams are getting better. There's a better culture, better infrastructure. You sense the level of competition. You sense how the clubs are trying to gain absolutely everything they can to be better than the opponent, and it's not going to get any easier, which is true. He also said probably connection. That's how I would do it. The team has connected. The club has connected. The departments at the club have connected. The crowd has connected with the team, with the club, with the ownership, with the rest of the world. So, yeah, man, is where it is. Apparently, Saka, Trossard, and Nelson might not actually be playing against Wolves tomorrow, people. So I have to see how that develops. We've been linked with a young Corinthians wonder kid, allegedly, people, Pedrino, who did not go to the Under-20s World Cup because he was declined to go. We've been linked with bringing in the young winger. Don't know nothing about him, but South America's a gold mine. Edu, that's your backyard. Try and get these guys in and, you know, start going to the other South American countries. You look at Paraguay, Ecuador, all them sort of places there. You see what it does for Brighton. Let's make it happen. We've been linked with him. Some people say we've had a bid rejected. According to this, for me, Pedro has everything to be the best young player since I've been here. Exceptional, trains a lot. The best boy I've seen. I hope it stays that way. And apparently he went on to say, you have Pedro, I don't know what's going on. If the kid is going to be sold to Arsenal, I don't know how. Remember, I told you for Sony. Because here's the thing, he didn't go to the World Cup to play, and he's good with the ball. He came on in every game and doesn't come in anymore. He could be sold, but as you know, people, you know, he can't leave until he turns 18. I don't know when he turns 18. I'd assume it's this summer. He's also been linked with Newcastle and Brighton, people. He's considered a promising talent from Corinthians. Indirectly, Martinelli spent time there, and so did a certain R9, so why not? Apparently, big up Renato. Apparently, Neto is actually a very good source of Corinthian news. Pedro is considered one of the brightest prospects in Brazil right now. Can't lie, we've been here several times. Brazilian club are open to sell and would demand 20 to 30 million euros for him. So that would you'd have to assume that's not Marquinhos. If we're paying that, he has to be in the first team, really. Apparently, they're in desperate need of money. They have Corinthians are in desperate need of money. They have lots of debts to pay. So you can see why selling him to a European market would make sense. Mateus Franca, who looks decent on YouTube and is good in Football Manager, apparently Arsenal have had an initial bid of 15 million euros plus add-ons rejected by his club Flamengo. So that's a boy bid rejected for the Galatasaray fullback, and now this Brazilian lad. But, you know, this is how things are done, really and truly. So we'll have to see. in that regards, exactly what's going to happen. Allegedly, Arsenal are among clubs to inquire in relation to Boy, as I said, of Galatasaray. He joined them in 2021. In the summer of 2023, he looks to be departing. He's actually changed agents and joined Stella, CAAA Stella, and his new agents have been tasked with preparing a move. Apparently, members of the Galatasaray board were in London this week to speak with English clubs, further fueling Arsenal rumours. My first choice personally would be Fresneda, but if Arteta's ran the due diligence over this guy, I'll give him a chance. And he did do all right against Barcelona, I'm sure, in the Europa League. I don't know anything about him to really, apart from that. I won't say he stood out, but like, I don't have an informed opinion on him. But as a fullback, I see white socks, I see blue, I see pink boots. I'll give the fullback a chance. Smash the like button, people. Romano has also spoken on Mason Mount as well, people. He's spoken on Mason Mount and says Chelsea want to start a bidding war between Arsenal and United for Mount, which would help them. West Ham want to do that with Declan Rice. Mount, I'm sure they want that to happen. If Balogun is to leave, and not really the same level, but Charlie Patino, you want even Kieran Tierney, everyone wants a bidding war, really. This is what they, in brackets, Chelsea want. They want to start a bidding war for Mount. They want more than 80 million for Mount, but he's out of contract next summer. This is not an easy situation to handle because the expectation around the player is for the price tag to be different, to be less than 80 million. Chelsea are still there. They want important money to let Mason Mount go. For sure, Man United are there. For sure, Liverpool and Arsenal are also interested. What Chelsea hope is a bidding war. So we'll have to see. Apparently, his choice will be Manchester United, courtesy of The Athletic. I don't think this article has anything that's required. Romano has also spoken on Declan Rice as well, people. Kind of correlating the same things we've seen already. Let's see what's being said on Goal.com's transfer thing. Again, we're set to win the race for Declan Rice, or Declan Rice, as it says there. We've seen a 17 million euro bid rejected for Boy of Galatasaray. They want 25 million. Reece Nelson has agreed a new deal. Numerous outlets are saying it's a 4-year with an option of a 5th. We've once again been linked with Rabiot, you know, a Frenchman playing in Italy, joining an English club. Initial reports come out of Spain. Football's universal, but it don't really make sense. It's not really a transfer window if we're not linked with Rabiot. He was cut close, allegedly, to joining Man United. We've been linked with Conde. What else have we got here? We've been linked with Cineribia of Torino. He's got 12 league goals, not really that. We are allegedly monitoring Szoboszlai and Dani Almo. That would also follow Simikan, Mohamed Simikan of Leipzig. Apparently, there's an option to extend Odegaard's contract by a year, so that gives us wiggle room. Big up Saka for his new deal until 2027. We're looking at Kimmich. Yeah, right. Kudus would be loved at the club. Granit will go to Bayern Leverkusen. Burnley want to get Lokonga. We've been linked with Gundogan and João Cancelo of City. And West Ham, every day that goes past, they're linked with another Arsenal player. They've been linked with, in the last 24 hours, Tavares. They've been linked with Lokonga, Balogun and Nelson. Not sure where they're at with Reece Nelson. Balogun, maybe that could knock some price tags off the Declan Rice deal. Lokonga is more than Lokonga and Tavares. If they're crazy enough to take them, especially Tavares, get them done really and truly immediately. So as I said, people, let me know your thoughts. Smash the like button, comment, subscribe, and do all that good stuff. Check out the other videos. Most importantly, stay safe, stay blessed, and I'll see you lot soon.
There's always that active red light defending. I think it's like